Hello, this is John, and today we'll be reading He Fights. Evan Sayet on Townhall, posted July 13th, 2017. Evan Sayet is the author of Kindergarten of Eden, How the Modern Liberal Thinks. His lecture to the Heritage Foundation on the same topic remains, some 10 years later, by far the single most viewed lecture in their history. My leftist friends, as well as many ardent never-Trumpers, constantly ask me if I'm not bothered by Donald Trump's lack of decorum. They ask if I don't think his tweets are beneath the dignity of the office. Here's my answer. We right-thinking people have tried dignity. There could not have been a man of more quiet dignity than George W. Bush, as he suffered the outrageous lies and politically motivated hatreds that undermined his presidency. We tried statesmanship. Could there be another human being on this earth who so desperately prized collegiality as John McCain? We tried propriety. Has there been a nicer human being ever than Mitt Romney? And the results were always the same. This is because while we were playing by the rules of dignity, collegiality, and propriety, the left has been, for the past 60 years, engaged in a knife fight where the only rules are those of Saul Alinsky and the Chicago mob. I don't find anything dignified, collegial, or proper about Barack Obama's lying about what went down on the streets of Ferguson in order to ramp up racial hatreds, because racial hatreds serve the Democratic Party. I don't see anything dignified in lying about the deaths of 4 Americans in Benghazi and imprisoning an innocent filmmaker to cover your tracks. I don't see anything statesmanlike in weaponizing the IRS to be used to destroy your political opponents and any dissent. Yes, Obama was articulate and polished, but in no way was he the least bit dignified, collegial, or proper. The left has been engaged in a war against America since the rise of the children of the 60s. To them it has been an all-out war where nothing is held sacred and nothing is seen as beyond the pale. It has been a war they fought with violence, the threat of violence, demagoguery, and lies from day one. The violent takeover of the universities till today. The problem is that through these years the left has been the only side fighting this war. While the left has been taking a knife to anyone who stands in their way, the right has continued to act with dignity, collegiality, and propriety. With Donald Trump, this all has come to an end. Donald Trump is America's first wartime president in the culture war. During war times, things like dignity and collegiality simply aren't the most essential qualities one looks for in their warriors. Ulysses Grant was a drunk whose behavior in peacetime might well have seen him drummed out of the army for conduct unbecoming. Had Abraham Lincoln applied the peacetime rules of propriety and booted Grant, the Democrats might still be holding their slaves today. Lincoln rightly recognized that, I cannot spare this man. He fights. General George Patton was a vulgar-talking son of a bitch. In peacetime, this might have him stripped of rank, but had Franklin Roosevelt applied the normal rules of decorum, then Hitler and the socialists would barely be 5 decades into their 1,000-year Reich. Trump is fighting, and what's particularly delicious is that, like Patton standing over the battlefield as his tanks obliterated Rommel's, he's shouting, "You magnificent bastard, I read your book." That is just the icing on the cake, but it's wonderful to see that not only is Trump fighting, he's defeating the left using their own tactics. That book is Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radical, a book so essential to the liberals' war against America that it is and was the playbook for the entire Obama administration and the subject of Hillary Clinton's senior thesis. It is a book of such pure evil that, just as the rest of us would dedicate our book to those we love or those to whom we are most indebted, Alinsky dedicated his book to Lucifer. Trump's tweets may seem rash and unconsidered, but in reality he is doing exactly what Alinsky suggested his followers do. First, instead of going after the fake media, and they are so fake that they have literally gotten every single significant story of the past 60 years not just wrong, but diametrically opposed to the truth, from the Tet Offensive to Benghazi, to what really happened on the streets of Ferguson, Missouri. Trump isolated CNN. He made it personal. Then, just as Alinsky suggests, he employs ridicule, which Alinsky described as the most powerful weapon of all. Everyone gets that it's not just CNN. In fact, in a world where Al Sharpton and Rachel Maddow, Paul Krugman and Nicholas Kristof are people of influence and whose reporting is in no way significantly different than CNN's, CNN is just a piker. Most importantly, Trump's tweets have put CNN in an untenable and unwinnable position. With Trump's ability to go around them, they simply cannot stand pat. They need to respond. This leaves them with only two choices. They can either go high, as Hillary would disingenuously declare of herself, and the fake news would disingenuously report as the truth, and begin to honestly and accurately report the news, or they can double down on their usual tactics and hope to defeat Trump with twice their usual hysteria and demagoguery. The problem for CNN et al. With the former is that if they were to start honestly reporting the news, that would be the end of the Democratic Party they serve. It is nothing but the incessant use of fake news, read propaganda, that keeps the left alive. Imagine, for example, if CNN had honestly and accurately reported then-candidate Barack Obama's close ties to foreign terrorists, Rashid Khalidi, domestic terrorists, William Ayers, the Mafia, Tony Resco, or the true evils of his spiritual mentor, Jeremiah Wright's church. Imagine if they had honestly and accurately conveyed the evils of the Obama administration's weaponizing of the IRS to be used against their political opponents, or his running of guns to the Mexican cartels, or the truth about the murder of Ambassador Christopher Stevens and the Obama administration's cover-up. This makes going high a non-starter for CNN. This leaves them no other option but to ratchet up the fake news, conjuring up the next nothing burger and devoting 24 hours a day to hysterical rants about how it's worse than Nixon. This obviously is what CNN has chosen to do. The problem is that as they become more and more hysterical, they become more and more obvious. Each new effort at even faker news than before and faker outrage only makes that much more clear to any objective observer that Trump is and always has been right about the fake news media. And by causing their hysteria, Trump has forced them into numerous, highly embarrassing and discrediting mistakes. Thus, in their desperation, they have lowered their standards even further and run with articles so clearly fake that even with the liberal, lowercase l, libel laws protecting the media, they've had to wholly retract and erase their stories repeatedly. Their flailing at Trump has even seen them cross the line into criminality, with CNN using their vast corporate fortune to hunt down a private citizen for having made fun of them in an internet meme. This threat to dox, release of personal information to encourage co-ideologists to visit violence upon him and his family. A political satirist was chilling in that it clearly wasn't meant just for him. If it were, there would have been no reason for CNN to have made their deal with him public. Instead, CNN, by playing by Chicago rules, was sending a message to any and all. Dissent will not be tolerated. This heavy-handed and hysterical response to a joke on the internet has backfired on CNN, giving rise to only more righteous ridicule. So to my friends on the left, and the never-Trumpers as well, do I wish we live in a time when our president could be collegial and dignified and proper? Of course I do. These aren't those times. This is war, and it's war that the left has been fighting without opposition for the past 50 years. So say anything you want about this president. I get it. He can be vulgar. He can be crude. He can be undignified at times. I don't care. I can't spare this man. He fights. This video is a production of the School of the White Crane, and my name is John Brooker. You can reach me through commentary on this video and at my Gmail listed here. Please share this video with family and friends and on social media. May God richly bless you.